Ellis Beefeaster's Radio Aircheck and Classic TV channel.
The United States is still the largest and fastest ship ever built in the U.S. She was taken out of service in 1969, has been dry docked since 72. BZ News Time now at 11:03.
Weekends were made for Michelob.
Weekends were made for Michelob.
Have a nice one, you hear?
Weekends.
52 times a year.
Weekends.
Don't forget, remember to pick up some beer. Michelob. Weekends were made for Michelob. Weekends were made for Michelob.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Right now, let's check sports here on BZ. In the Olympics tonight, Southern Cal teammates John Neighbor and Bruce Furness set new world records tonight, winning gold medals at the Olympic swimming competition tonight. They said, quote, "The best is yet to come for the United States." Romania's Nadia Comăneci performed two unprecedented perfect scores of 10 tonight for 3 in 2 days in women's gymnastics. Right now in baseball scores, San Francisco 5, St. Louis 3 over the National League. Cincinnati topped Pittsburgh 4-2. Houston 3 and Montreal 1. After 8 innings, it was Atlanta 4 and the New York Mets 2. In the American League in a doubleheader, Cleveland took the first game of a doubleheader with Oakland 3-2. In the second game after 6 innings, Oakland leads Cleveland 9-2. California 4 and Milwaukee 2 in the first game of a doubleheader. After 2 innings in the second match, it is Milwaukee 1 and California nothing. After 6 innings, Texas led the Boston Red Sox 3-2. The weather forecast for Boston and vicinity, it'll be partly cloudy tonight, low temperatures right around 70. On Tuesday, partly sunny, highs right around 90. Tomorrow night, cloudy, lows around 70. Then on Wednesday, cloudy, a chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm, high temperatures in the mid-80s. Right now, the BZ temperature, it's 73. Here's the Massachusetts lottery number drawn tonight. It was 2745. The lottery number tonight, 2745. The 4-digit exact payoff, $2,599. The 3-digit exact payoff, $364. To recap the top story at 11, the sheriff coordinating the Chowchilla bus kidnapping case tonight says a check of records fails to show any link with the tip that 3 San Quentin ex-cons plotted to revenge that town by kidnapping 26 school children. It is the 11 o'clock BZ report, portions recorded. I'm Ted Larson, WBZ News. With a reminder, the Boston team in the United States Youth Games is holding tryouts for all boys and girls 15 years and under who live within a 10-mile radius of Boston. For more information, call 261-3599. Right now, here's a BZ editorial with Lamont L. Thompson, Vice President of WBZ Radio and BZ TV.
The legislature gets back to work this week. After its break for the Democratic Convention, the budget battle is about over, and now it's time to concentrate on other key matters like court reform that have been kept on the shelf for the past few months. At present, we have 2 top priorities in this field. One is to establish a Judicial Conduct Commission, a formal system to resolve complaints about judges who abuse their powers or abuse the people in their courts. Some 40 other states have followed California's lead in setting up this type of agency. Creation of one for Massachusetts was one of the top recommendations of a conference on our court system 4 years ago. Many of you have indicated you agree on this point, some after bitter experiences in the courts. Well, the bill in question is House number 5006, so let's put pressure on it. The second priority aims at an overhaul of the jury system. Senate Bill 1338 is actually a pilot program for Suffolk County, but the plan is intended for statewide use as soon as possible. The goal is to open up jury duty to everyone in the state, but for a single trial, not a month-long period as at present. And the system has been set up both to save money for the courts and reduce lost worker time for employers. There's near final agreement on both these measures, but there cannot be any let-up in the public pressure until they reach the governor's desk. And again, if you want more information on the bills or how to play the lobbying game, let's hear from you.
7 after 11 now on BZ as we return to Jerry Williams.
254-5678.
Welcome back. This is the fourth and final hour. If you'd like to join us, we're at 254-5678 here on WBZ Radio. Your calls and comments are welcomed. We have an open line and we're ready to go. Hello? Hello?
Hi, Jerry.
Yes?
With regard to Jimmy Carter, has anyone brought out the fact tonight that he's where he is by virtue of 5% of the popular vote?
Nobody's brought that out tonight.
Something to think about. You know, you get the feeling listening to people that they so desperately want someone to come on the scene and sort of do it for them. But really, Jerry, to be practical, what does it matter whether it's Carter or Reagan or Ford? It's Congress. It's Congress. What is he going to be able to do about it?
Well, a strong president knows how to deal with the Congress and knows how to wield the power and will be able to move the Congress.
Think about the last Congresses in the past 26 years. What have we had? 22 Democratic Congresses, and half of that time we've had Democratic presidents. Could there be a stronger president than Johnson? What did he do?
Well, he passed some of the most interesting civil rights legislation in the wake of John F. Kennedy's death, of course, in the history of the country at that time.
Great Society.
Yeah.
We're still reeling from it.
Whether we were reeling from the war. See, Mr. Johnson thought he could give you both social programs and the war without raising taxes. And that was Mr. Johnson's legacy. He initiated all the kinds of inflation along with Richard Nixon by insisting that we could have both guns and butter, as the cliche goes, and that's what he tried to give us, guns and butter, and that's what we're still reeling from.
And Nixon did the same.
And Nixon did the same.
Because he was a political man. But, you know, when you stop to think, Jerry, our most serious problem, ours and our children, is inflation. In 1950, we paid $90 a year Social Security tax. In this current year, we pay $1,800. That's an increase of 1,900%. Now, that's what the problem is. We have got to get a Congress down there who will begin to think in terms beyond their own re-election. You know, they're talking the other night at the convention about the poor this and the poor that, and I bet you, Jerry, that there wasn't a person in that room who earned less than $20,000 a year.
Oh, that's not true.
Are you sure?
That's not true, of
I
course.
read somewhere that they actually did a survey on it, and then someone mentioned it, I think it was over CBS, that there was no one in the room earning less than $20,000 a year.
You mean among the delegates?
Among the delegates.
Oh, not so. Absolutely not so.
Well, I think it was Cronkite who made the remark, or maybe it was, I remember hearing it, watching TV last week. They made that point, that they talk such a good story. I don't know. I just feel that our most serious...
Well, you know, all presidents have been fairly well-to-do. Jimmy Carter is a millionaire. Richard Nixon was fairly close to it, or was at least a millionaire by the time he left office. Lyndon Johnson was a millionaire. John F. Kennedy was a millionaire. Dwight Eisenhower was a millionaire. They're all millionaires, really. About the only poor president we had was Harry Truman, who wasn't very well off. Tom Dewey, who expired to the presidency, was a millionaire. But they all had feelings for poor people. And to say that because a man... is surrounded by people who make $20,000 a year, that he doesn't have compassion for the poor, is not telling it like it is.
Jerry, I believe that you have compassion for the poor, and I certainly know that I have compassion for the poor. The question is, how do you go? It's in the implementation. This is where we have gone wrong, Jerry. Now, you know and I know that with a national debt at this moment, we owe a total of $5,700,000,000,000.
I'm beginning to hear Reaganisms loudly and clearly now.
No, what I'd like to get across, though, is, look, for some reason the media refuses to believe that anybody who wants to do it the correct way, in other words, not to leave our children the legacy of a debt that they'll never be able to pay. It can be done, and it can be done without the Wayne Hayes in the Congress, and it can be done without the Margaret Hecklers, and all of these fat bureaucrats who have been sucking our blood for 26 out of the last 22 years. That's where it's at. We're wasting money down there. We're wasting money. It's the Congress. This is the problem. And I don't care whether they elect Mickey Mouse. Nothing is going to be... The only difference we will see is, as we have seen this current year or so, the 53 vetoes that Ford has exercised, it'll save us a couple of bucks, maybe a $500 million that our kids won't have to pay. And I don't think that anybody's going to be
Well,
any
I don't
worse off.
understand that reasoning at all. In other words, if we have a problem, what we should do is get a president who says no.
No, here's the problem. The problem, Jerry,
No,
is...
no, that's exactly what you've said.
I'm sorry,
You said
I didn't mean that
we
at
should
all.
have a president who has no compassion for the poor, one that stands up and says, tra-la-la, see you later. The feds have no responsibility in this area, that we have no responsibility for older people, no responsibility for it all costs. Of course it costs money. What we have to do is get the defense. You didn't mention once the defense establishment off our backs.
Well, all right, we'll mention it.
Well, that's
It's
where all the money goes.
1/6
That's
is
where the
large.
money goes.
It's only 13% as large as the HEW
Oh,
budget this year.
that is that Reagan bull that so-called conservatives and anarchists of the right would like us to believe.
right, Jerry,
Now,
you're
the
all
defense
upset, so I'll let you
establishment is
go.
$120
You are rather
billion of your tax money.
Jerry, you tell me-
$120 billion for bombers
You tell
and
me who's
obsolete.
better off today than they were 20 years ago, and I'll tell you the bureaucrats are. Certainly not the elderly, certainly not the poor, certainly not your children or mine. And you know it, and I know it. The only people who are living fat
The
off
generals and colonels and
No,
other
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, maybe so. Yeah, so let's get rid of the generals and colonels. I don't hold any brief with them. I think that anybody...
Well, if
anybody
you're
who-
asking for a revolution, you see, and I don't think you're
I
going
think I'm
to
asking
get a
for
revolution.
taxpayers'
You're going to have to
revolution.
deal with either a Democratic liberal president or a Ford conservative type presidency. You're not going to get an Ayn Rand who's going to, change the system of government. You're not going to get a socialist of the left either. You're going to get some moderate liberal, moderate conservative approach, and what you have to deal with that in a real way, rather than going off saying we're going to, have anarchy of the right or anarchy of the left. That's not where it's going to be.
I know,
We're
but
going to have
Jerry-
a national health insurance in some form, whether it's going to be private and public or all public. That's the way it's going to be. Whether it's this president, it's going to be reform
That's
of the
fine,
welfare.
Jerry, that's
There's going to be
fine.
a reform of the welfare establishment in some way. There's going to be some dealing with the business of revving up the economy, either the Ford way or the Carter way. That's
you
the
know
way
it-
it's going to be. So
you know it
for you to
was-
say the bureaucrats, and all of those Reagan conservative cliches is just not where it's going to be.
Let me just make this statement, if I may. We really have come full cycle. We have a trickle-down system, but what we're getting is what dribbles off the chins of the bureaucrats. Now look at this thing in Massachusetts here over the weekend. $44,000 for those men? They're making more than the judges. Are they worth it? Do you really think they're worth it? When the average, little old lady can't afford to pay her real estate tax anymore? It's wrong. When the young people can never hope, there's going to be no
You
GI
see,
Bill for them,
what
Jerry.
you're saying is very emotional, and it
No, it's factual,
evokes a
I'm
response,
sorry.
but it does not come up with an answer.
It comes up with a perfect answer.
What?
Our problem is inflation. That is the problem. And once we face that and begin to address that, that is the problem. And inflation is caused by bureaucrats who spend more than we have. That is the problem. And I don't care who the president is, the problem won't go away until we
Well,
change
that's not
the Congress.
problem the way the other team sees it. You see, they see it in just another way. If you have a fundamentalist approach, as some people do by saying, I have the truth, nothing but the truth, and I know that's the approach, that's what the Ford and Reagan are saying. It's inflation.
No.
On the other hand, the Democrats are saying it's not inflation, it's unemployment. And you see, it's
system-
not inflation, but unemployment.
The system was never meant by our forefathers to operate from the top down. That's what has happened to it.
The forefathers never envisioned anything 200 years ago that's presently on the earth except what is embodied in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. That's quite clear and has to deal with human rights and doesn't deal with economics at all. There's nothing in the Constitution that talks about economics.
Well, look, if you do believe that, if you really believe that, then we might as well call a spade, and we have no business calling ourselves a capitalist society.
Well, you tell me there is nothing in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that has anything to do with capitalism, socialism, or any other ism in terms of the economic system. It says the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of
That's
happiness.
right, but they knew probably better than we know that economics has to do with freedom. In other words, if you own, if the government owns you,
that's
Jerry,
that old conservative jargon again. You see,
Jerry.
economics has to do, rather freedom has to do with human liberty, human
right.
liberty.
Liberty, individual liberty.
It has nothing to do with economics. It has to do with freedom of religion. That's why it's embodied in the Constitution. Freedom of religion is embodied there. Freedom of speech is embodied there. All of the freedoms are embodied. It doesn't say anything about freedom of economic thought.
Jerry.
Economic thought is a variable. It can be one way or the other. There are no absolutes. We have a mixed economy.
Well,
we have
I'm
mixed
glad you
feelings
believe
on
it,
it.
Jerry.
We
I'm
have-
glad. I wish you could talk to the people I see in the street, like the woman I was talking to today. They don't seem to agree with you.
But it's not embodied. It's absolute that it's not in the Constitution. Now, when I say absolute, I know very clearly, because I'm a student of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that there's no such economic thought
Because you've
buried
got
in the
religion,
Constitution.
Jerry. You've got religion. You
Where is
have
it?
the truth.
Where is it?
You've got the truth.
Name it.
Name what?
Where it tells me that this is a capitalist society.
In our Constitution?
Yeah.
Nowhere, but it says very plainly that government...
Does it talk about freedom of
the only
religion,
powers-
freedom
well,
of
wait a minute, let me ask
speech,
you. Now, you asked me.
freedom of press? Is that what
Wait
it
a minute.
talks about?
No, it does say very plainly that the only power that government has is that power which we, as individual free people, give to this government, not what they wish to take away from us.
You know, that's the whole dilemma between so-called liberals and conservatives. Conservatives think that all freedom evokes from the so-called free enterprise.
But see,
Just a minute,
no,
I'm
wait
not
a minute.
finished. The
I'm
free
sorry.
enterprise system.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
And liberals believe deeply, as I do, that all freedom has nothing to do with economics. What it has to do, of course, is with human liberty.
All right,
Freedom
now
to think, to speak as we are. That has nothing to do with economics. The fact that we're here owned by a radio station by one of the large corporations in America has nothing to do with whether or not you and I speak freely. It's because I'm here and I believe in this kind of program, and and Westinghouse wants this program to exist. It has nothing to do with economics.
Could I
We're
answer-
speaking freely.
Could I answer that when you say that all liberty, has nothing to do with economics? If a liberal truly does believe that a person's liberty, his human liberty, is all important, then how do you address the abortion
Well,
question?
why did they embody that in the Constitution?
No, well, you didn't answer me. How do we address the abortion question?
The abortion question is very complex, and some people believe that the state should be involved in a moral issue such as abortion. Other people think it's a very private decision.
Other people think it's murder.
That's well, I did say that, didn't I?
Well, you didn't
I
use
said
the
some
word,
people
Jerry.
think that the people that the state should be involved, and that those are the people who think it's murder, and other people do not. But that's a dilemma that may not be resolved for quite a long period of time
And
because
I
of the conflicting testimony on
And I
each
can't
side.
resolve it with Carter's, presenting himself as a very religious man when he does believe, and he not only believes in abortion, he believes in the government paying for it.
Oh, that's a lot of bull. Now that really is a blatant.
Now, Jerry-
I have to wait a minute. This lady is lying. And
What lady is lying?
Yes, you are. Now here's what Carter says.
Jerry,
about,
wait a minute. Now,
just
you're
a minute.
getting little
I'm not.
emotional. All right,
I'm
I'll
gonna.
hang up and you can rave.
No,
Good
wait a
night.
minute. Hold on. Here's what Carter says. Carter says he personally does not believe in abortion. Carter says he personally doesn't believe in abortion, but he does not believe the state should be involved in a decision, that it should be a personal decision. And what he's saying is that the Supreme Court decision he will stand by, but he personally does not believe in abortion. 2545678. Hello? 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 Somebody at long distance here.
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Please speak, please.
I'm waiting for Mr. Williams.
This is Mr. Williams, and you're going to have to speak up now, because otherwise, with the program bogs down, and I have to get on to the next call, and I know you're calling from long distance.
Hello.
And I do want to give you a chance.
Thank you.
You're on the air. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to give my opinion about Mr. Carter. Hello.
Would you do me the favor of turning off your radio?
Thank
Patience. Patience, Jer. Jer, have patience.
Yes.
Now you're on the air. Please speak up.
Well, I think Mr. Carter is a fine man.
Mm-hmm.
He's the type of Mr. Roosevelt, the old one. Mr. Roosevelt, he's soft, he speaks very softly, but I believe he carries a big stick. You understand what I mean?
No.
That he is a very fine man.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of who comes out president, the most important thing is for the people to join together and use their own judgment, not to go voting because he thinks he's a very religious and you have a different religion. The most important thing is to get America in the same spirit we had the 4th of July. Feel for America first. Try to get America going. Everybody, the higher-ups, the big concerns, the small, the workers, everybody, because America is in a very poor state. And if everybody cooperates, America can get on her feet again. We think everybody's frustrated in this situation. But if we get along, think together, first America first, and then the outside commitment later, we'll get the country going.
And where are you calling from?
I am calling from Jackson, New Jersey.
I see. Okay, well, I'm certainly glad to talk to you, and I thank you very much.
Something is happening at Wonderland.
It's the fabulous superfecta happening with those super payoffs that now average over $5,000. $5,000, that's the average. And that's a nice return on a $3 bet, wouldn't you say? So when you want action, super action, Wonderland's the one. Also with 9 perfectas, 8 trifectas, and daily double. For a great night out, come on out to Wonderland in nearby Revere, weeknights at 8.
Suddenly, even the quietest people in Massachusetts are going,
Bingo!
and it's all because of the instant bingo game from the Massachusetts State Lottery.
Bingo! 10,000 bucks!
You can win up to $10,000 instantly, up to $25,000 in a weekly drawing. And if you're lucky enough to win the instant bingo game's grand prize...
Bingo! I'm rich!
That's right, you'll win $1,000 a week for life.
Bingo!
Hi, I'm Dave Maynard, and I've got some news that should make your day a bit more pleasing. There's a new personality on the air every day from 9 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. His name is Bob Rowley. Welcome aboard, Bob.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Hey, Bob, it's good to see you. I'm Don Batting. You know, I once knew a Milton Rowley.
Milton, hey, how are you? I'm Gil Santos. No, that's Bob.
You're Bob Milton. How are you? I'm Joe Green.
No, that's Raleigh.
Wally, I'm Don Kent. How are you?
I don't understand.
Hey, Wally Milton, is it? I'm Steve Smith. You met Guy Manila?
No, we haven't met. How are you, Molly? Funny, I always thought Molly was a woman's name.
Now, hold on.
Tune into the Bob Rowley Show every weekday from 9 to 2. You'll like what you hear. We think Bob's going to make a big name for himself around here.
We please all the people on WBZ.
It's 11:25 on BZ. Hello. Hello.
Will you?
Yes.
I'm listening to all this controversy. How do you lean politically?
How do I lean?
Lean, yeah, politically, Democrat or Republican or...
Well, depends on who the candidate is.
I mean, in other words, this is what I've said for years. I do not vote a party. Of course, you have to be registered a party, but in other words, I vote a man, not a party. And I've thought for a long time that we have a strange thing going in this country. And we have an Attorney General named Edwin Levy. We have a Secretary of State named Henry Kissinger. We have a Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld.
Donald Rumsfeld, what does that mean?
I'm just reading off all these ones that are.
Wait a minute.
We have
just a
Arthur
second.
Burns, Chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Will you hold on just a minute?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to link this association here.
I'm reading off what is...
Don't shout.
I'm not shouting,
All
are
right,
you?
well, yeah, you said Levy, Kissinger, and Rumsfeld?
I'm reading off the men that are the appointed officials of our country.
That's right.
Is that
Now,
wrong?
what do Levy, Kissinger, and Rumsfeld have in common?
I'm asking you, I'm reading off our appointed members of our government.
Right, I'm just asking
Okay,
this
I'm
question.
asking
I'm
you-
going to
no.
ask you this question as well. What do those three people have in
I'm
common?
asking you, I'm reading them off. I'll read them off, and when I get through, you tell me what you think.
I see.
Okay. Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Arthur Burns. The Caspar Weinberg, head of HEW. Alan Greenspan, head of the Economic Advisors. Press Secretary Ron Nelson, Assistant Secretary General L.H. Silberman. Ford Senior Speechwriter Milton Friedman. Federal Insurance Advisor George Bernstein. Mrs. Ford's Press Secretary Sheila Weidenfeld. Secretary of Treasury William Simon. There's a question mark there. President Ford's Financial Advisor William Seidman. HEW Youth Development Rabbi Martin Kander. Chief Economist of the Department of Agriculture Donald Perlberg. U.S. Patent Office Isaac Fleischman. Head of the Jewish Affairs Department Leonard Garment.
Pardon me, what do you...
Now, what I'm asking you is,
Don't raise your
do the other people in this country get a fair shake? Now, wait a minute. I'm not through. The Civic Rights Division of the Justice Department, Stanley Pottinger. The State Department Counselor, Helmut Sonnenfeld. The Chief Economist of the Federal Home Loan Banks, Harris Friedman. Now, I want to ask you, does this sound like a fair proportion of, we're going with this bit of religion now. Are we not going with religion tonight? Are you there?
Have you stopped speaking?
Well, no. All I asked you was,
All right,
I've
now
been
you don't,
hearing
have to, you don't
a
have
bit.
to ask me a second time because I'm very good at hearing you the first time.
All right, but you have
I
been
have to
talking
wait.
religion all
I have
night.
to wait for you to stop speaking, and then I will speak.
Well, wait a minute. You've been talking religion all night. What I want to ask you is, why are you talking religion as far as Carter is concerned when I see this is what is in our government now?
Who are they?
I don't know who they are. Do you know who they are? I've just given you all of their titles.
I see. Where did you read those titles?
Oh, for God's sake, mister. I mean, you don't know?
No, where you evidently have a source. I'd like
No,
to know.
I'm not of a sort. I know who is an appointed member of my government. I read and I search. These are all people who are members of our government and run my government. I don't know about your government. They run my government.
Can I speak?
But I'm asking you, why are you going forth with the bit on religion tonight?
Can I speak, or do you just want to make a speech?
No, sir.
All right, will
I'm
will
asking
step back?
you now.
Will you step back?
Yes, I've stepped back.
Will you step back, or
Yeah, one
or do
point.
you do this to your husband as well?
Indeed, I would.
I see. You do not let him speak.
No, I didn't say that. I said I'd step back.
Oh, well, then get out of the way so they can get a little breathing room in here. All right?
Oh, well, believe me. I mean, I'm paying for my breathing room.
I see.
What are you doing?
If you want to pay for it, it's okay with me. It's your nickel.
I know it's my nickel.
I'll give you either one. You can either make a speech and hang up, or you can conduct a
having an argument
conversation
about?
with me that we will both be speaking at the same time.
Oh,
Now,
yes,
what
sir.
good will that do if we both speak at the same
Nothing,
time?
darling, nothing.
Okay,
What
so that
is
you
your
want
problem?
you want me to respond to what you said?
I'd love to.
Okay, then will you step back?
I'm back.
Try to lock your jaw so that it will not speak.
Come on, don't get offensive. I'm listening to you.
Well, talking about offensive.
I'm listening to you.
Okay, now, I asked you where you were reading that list from.
These are the men that are running our government.
Where did the list? I didn't
have
ask you
read
who
it
was
in the
running the
newspaper.
government, lady. I was asking you where you got the list from.
And I have read this in the newspaper.
Well, you
from
didn't
the
just
time
make that
I
up
got
out of the clear blue sky. You had it listed down there.
My good man, I wrote them down. Wait a minute. Am I not supposed to be cognizant of the people that are running my government?
Well, let me ask you this.
Boston, WBZ. Boston, WBZ.
All night. And I've got news for you, sir. I am really pretty sick of listening to this bet.
Did you have to use a... Did you have to use a... Pardon me.
Listen, I'm not for Carter.
Pardon me.
Believe me, I'm not for Carter.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
Like
Just a
your
second.
knocking Christianity.
Can you stand back? My gosh,
no,
you're aggravating.
I will not
aggravating.
stand back. You have it all night. I'm paying for my call.
Where are you calling from?
I told the operator.
Where?
I told the operator.
Well, you can tell me now, because I didn't hear her.
Maryland.
Maryland.
Yes, sir.
I see. Are you the lady who I spoke to another night previous?
No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah. What do you feel about Jews?
What I have listened to you castigate Christians all night long, and I am just a little bit fed up. And I have known for a long time what controls my country, and I have known and I have looked up. And listen, let's face it. I didn't elect these men; they were appointed.
Mr.
By whom? I don't know.